Welcome to The Walking Dread, everyone. Ready for your daily dose of horror.
Oh,
The
yeah.
kind that'll make you think twice about checking under the bed tonight.
Always.
I'm Adrian,
And I'm Julia.
and we are your guides to the dark side.
Every single day, we're bringing you a new nightmare.
A chilling tale that will leave you looking over your shoulder.
Maybe even sleeping with the lights on.
And today, we're talking about something you might not expect.
Language.
Yeah, you heard that right.
Language?
We're diving into a story called Barriers.
It's a story about what happens when the barriers of language come crashing down.
And what comes through is something truly terrifying.
Imagine a world without language barriers.
You could talk to anyone, anywhere.
Instantly.
No more awkward Google Translate fails.
No more lost in translation moments.
Just pure, unadulterated understanding.
The ultimate connection.
Sounds pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, who wouldn't want that?
But here's the thing.
That kind of connection comes at a cost.
In this story, it's all thanks to this super advanced translation app called Babylon.
And let's just say things go very, very wrong.
It's like the Tower of Babel myth, but for the digital age.
Reaching for connection, but finding something way more sinister.
Okay, so picture this. Babylon launches, and instantly, it's a global phenomenon.
Everyone's downloading it.
Everyone wants to be part of this new
A
world.
world without misunderstanding.
Honestly, if you were there, would you have downloaded it?
It's hard to resist that promise of connection, isn't it?
I know I'd be tempted.
Totally.
And at the heart of this story is Anya.
She's this brilliant linguist,
She's fascinated by Babylon
but also really disturbed by it.
because she understands language better than anyone.
The nuances, the subtleties.
And something about Babylon's perfect translations just feels off.
Yeah, it's like it's almost too perfect.
Exactly, like something's missing.
Like some essential part of human communication got lost along the way.
And then we get to the really creepy part.
The glitches.
But these aren't your typical mistranslations.
We're talking about single words
Scattered throughout conversation.
that have no equivalent in any known language.
Imagine talking to someone and suddenly a word pops up that makes no sense.
A word that feels almost alien.
And these glitches start appearing everywhere.
People are freaking out naturally.
Some dismiss them as bugs.
Others try to make sense of them.
But Anya, she's not just looking for meaning.
She's looking for patterns.
And what she finds is terrifying.
These glitches aren't random.
They're deliberate.
Like something or someone is trying to communicate.
And it's not just any language either.
Some philologists start recognizing patterns.
Claiming that these untranslatable words resemble ancient Sumerian.
A language shrouded in mystery.
And let's face it, a bit of an occult reputation.
Yeah, not exactly comforting.
So you've got this ancient language popping up in this ultra-modern translation app.
It's like someone's messing with the very fabric of reality.
Anya dives headfirst into the code.
Trying to figure out what's really going on.
And what she discovers is that Babylon isn't just translating
It's broadcasting a message.
a message into the void.
And that's when things start to get really, really scary.
Because what's on the other side of that void? Well, we weren't meant to find out.
Like opening a door,
To somewhere you really shouldn't be.
Exactly.
And remember all that excitement about a world without language barriers.
Yeah. The global village, everyone connecting.
Well, one night everything goes haywire.
Anya's computer screen just fills up with these untranslatable words.
But now they're not just static words.
They're moving.
Shifting.
Like they're alive.
And it's not just her computer.
It's happening everywhere.
Phones, computers, tablets all over the world.
All displaying these bizarre symbols.
These fragments of an unknown language.
Imagine the panic.
Confusion.
You're looking at your screen, and it's like a nightmare.
Something you can't even begin to comprehend.
Yeah, that feeling of helplessness.
Like the world is unraveling and you have no idea why.
The emergency channels are a cacophony of fear.
100 different languages, all expressing the same primal terror.
It's like everyone everywhere can sense this impending doom.
The author really taps into something primal here.
That deep-seated fear of the unknown.
It's not just the language itself.
It's the feeling that something is deeply, fundamentally wrong.
And as if things couldn't get any worse.
The symbols start forming shapes.
Shapes unlike anything we've ever seen before.
Appearing on screens all around the world.
It's a horrifying spectacle.
A visual representation of the chaos that's unfolding.
That visual element adds a whole other layer of fear.
Definitely, it's one thing to hear a weird sound or word, but to actually see something that defies our comprehension.
Yeah, that's a whole other level of terrifying.
Totally.
And then in the middle of all this panic and confusion, the Babylon app spits out a single, chilling translation.
Summoning.
And at that moment, the power grids all over the world start to fail.
Not from overload, though.
It's like something is pulling the energy.
Draining it into these unseen channels.
Like something is drawing power from our world.
Feeding off our technology.
And then, as cities plunge into darkness,
A guttural roar
something inhuman.
rises from the heart of the global network.
It's like the network itself is screaming.
A conduit for something truly monstrous.
This part of the story really makes you think.
About language.
What is it, if not a barrier?
A way of defining ourselves against the unknown.
And what happens when that barrier is breached?
That's the central question of the story, isn't it?
We take language for granted.
We use it every day without even thinking about it.
But it's more than just a means of communication.
It's a way of ordering our reality.
Of separating ourselves from the chaos of the unknown.
Exactly.
And Babylon, with its promise of universal understanding,
It ripped down that barrier
leaving us completely vulnerable.
to whatever was lurking on the other side.
Anya? She's not just witnessing this.
She's at the heart of it.
She was the one who delved deepest into the code.
Who uncovered the true nature of Babylon.
And now she has to face the consequences.
That's a chilling realization.
That the very technology you were fascinated by has become a conduit for something monstrous.
It's a classic horror trope.
But it's so effective.
It plays on our deepest fears.
Anya, she understands the true horror of what's happening.
She realizes that language beyond communication can act as a shield.
A barrier between us and the unknown.
That's a profound insight.
And it could hold the key to stopping the summoning.
But how do you fight something that exists outside the realm of human understanding?
Something that communicates in a language that defies translation.
It's a desperate situation.
Anya knows she has to act fast.
With shaking hands, she types a single word into the corrupted Babylon app.
A word so simple, so universal.
That it transcends the barriers of language.
A primal scream of defiance against the encroaching darkness.
The word.
A single word.
A desperate plea.
Broadcast not just to the world,
but to the monstrous entities rising to answer the call.
And for a moment, everything seems to stop.
The creatures, the network, the very air crackles with this terrifying energy. It's like reality itself is holding its breath.
Waiting to see what will happen next.
And then it's like everything explodes.
It's like this digital howl that shatters the silence.
And Anya's screen goes dark.
And then it's pure chaos.
That contrast is what's so terrifying, you know? That quiet anticipation, that stillness, and then bam.
It's like a dam breaking.
Pure, unadulterated horror unleashed upon the world.
Yeah. The author is playing with our expectations there.
Totally lulling us into this false sense of security.
And then unleashing the full force of the nightmare.
And what a nightmare it is.
When the dust settles.
The true horror of what's happened becomes clear.
Reports are flooding in from all over the world.
Creatures made of twisted signal and malevolent code.
They've emerged from the depths of the corrupted network.
It's like something out of a Lovecraftian nightmare.
These entities existing somewhere between the digital and the real.
And their arrival is just the beginning.
This story describes these localized apocalypses.
Places where the creatures manage to break through.
Unleashing chaos and destruction.
Unlike anything we've ever seen.
And then there are the mass suicides.
People who delved too deeply into the corrupted network.
Their minds overwhelmed by the sheer horror of what they saw.
It's like their brains were never meant to comprehend something like that.
It's a fate worse than death.
To have your mind shattered by a glimpse of something so alien, so fundamentally wrong.
It makes you think about the limits of human perception.
What is it about these creatures, about this language, that drives people to such extremes?
The story seems to be suggesting that there are things in this universe that are simply beyond our grasp.
Concepts and entities that would break us if we ever truly understood them.
So where does that leave Anya?
Anya survives the initial onslaught.
But her world is forever changed.
The Babylon app still flickers on her ruined phone.
A constant reminder of the catastrophe she witnessed.
The creatures haven't been defeated.
Merely scattered.
The summoning, it seems, was successful.
Humanity is left to pick up the pieces.
But how do you even begin to rebuild when the very fabric of communication, of connection, has been corrupted?
The story doesn't give us easy answers.
We're left with this chilling image of a world fractured.
Not by physical borders,
but by the fear of the unknown.
It's like the Tower of Babel all over again.
Instead of uniting us, the pursuit of universal language has shattered us.
And Anya, the linguist, who once reveled in the beauty and complexity of language, is now burdened by the knowledge of its destructive potential.
Every cracked screen, every discarded phone serves as a reminder of the fragile illusion of safety we traded away for the promise of connection.
Which brings us back to that initial question, would you have downloaded the app? Knowing what we know now about the potential consequences, about the horrors that lurk just beyond the reach of our understanding, would we still be so eager to break down those barriers?
That's the power of a good horror story, isn't it? It forces us to confront our own vulnerabilities, our own desires, and ask ourselves what price we're willing to pay for progress, for connection.
Barriers is a story that stays with you. It's a warning about the unintended consequences of our actions, about the dangers of tampering with forces we don't fully understand. And it reminds us that sometimes the things we create, the technologies we believe will make the world a better place, can turn out to be our undoing.
And in this age of constant connection, of pushing the boundaries of communication and technology, I think that's a message we all need to hear.
Well, folks, that's a wrap on today's episode of The Walking Dread. If you enjoy this terrifying tale, be sure to rate and follow us for more spooky stories, creepy encounters, and spine-chilling explorations into the heart of darkness. We'll be back tomorrow with another chilling tale that'll keep you up all night. Until then, sleep tight if you dare.